Thank you for watching our civil rights training update. We will be covering all of the information required for civil rights, and then we will need you to verify that you've watched this video. In the civil rights update, we will be discussing the collection and use of data for the pantry, reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities, language assistance, effective public notification systems, the complaint procedures, compliance review techniques, resolution of non-compliance, customer service, and conflict resolution. The pantry does have a privacy policy describing our collection and use of data. You can request the full policy if you'd like. We do address topics such as how we are utilizing information internally, if we do participate in external research, the fact that we do want volunteers to maintain confidentiality of information and that all volunteers do commit to doing so. We also address the fact that sometimes we have other organizations coming in and providing services at the pantry, like the library or other people. And then also, if anybody were to request information, occasionally a family requests that we provide information to someone else, so how we address those kind of situations. Again, you're able to request that if you'd like the full privacy policy. We are required to do the civil rights compliance training because we receive food from the federal government through the TFAP program. This training is a requirement of that. And part of the reason why they do that is because there has been discrimination in the past, and they want to address that past discrimination and prevent it in the future. The groups that are protected through civil rights are called protected classes, and these are groups that are specifically protected due to past institutional discrimination that's systemic discrimination. These groups include race, color, national origin, age, sex, and disability. So we are required to provide services to these groups, we are required to provide services to these individuals without consideration of their protected class. They have to receive services even if they are of a different, of any age, of any sex, of any disability. This does not limit our ability to provide limitations on where our services are provided. Our service area is a geographic basis that we provide services to some people based on geography and not others based on where they live. That is not a protected class, and it is okay for us to provide services in that manner. There are two additional groups that are protected through the USDA policies. One is those with limited English proficiency, so people who do not speak English as their primary language or well. We are also required to provide reasonable accommodations for those individuals. We do work to have information in Spanish. We will be having our brochure also in French because we do have more families with that language. A secondary group that is protected through the USDA policy is religious organizations, and this is a protection both the fact that we are required to provide services to everyone in the community, not just people who are affiliated with the church that we're affiliated with, which we would do anyway, provide services to everyone. But the other part is the USDA cannot discriminate against us even though we are part of an outreach ministry of the church. So it protects individuals and requires that we provide services to everyone, as well as protects the pantry to be able to receive food services through the USDA. I've also included our non-discrimination of goods and services. The pantry policy that was written a number of years ago actually is more inclusive with different groups that we would consider protected groups for our services specifically. You're welcome to read that or ask for a full statement of that. The USDA does require that we have a public notification system. This requires that we have a statement in our brochure about being a non-discrimination. This requires a statement in our brochure stating that we are an equal opportunity provider. There's also a poster in the reception area that is required. So these are things that are required to be provided through the USDA. Civil rights compliance and review has multiple levels. At the federal level, the USDA is responsible for civil rights compliance for food pantries. At the state level, it's the Department of Human Services, and then at our level, the food banks, the food pantries, we're all responsible for implementing this within our agencies. If there were to be a complaint, individuals do have 180 days to file a complaint. We do have a procedure and policy and a form to fill out called an incident report. If there were a situation where you were uncomfortable and there were a situation where you thought, oh, maybe we need to pass this along so it can be documented, we would appreciate that documentation because people do have an extended period to file a complaint, and we want to have as much information as possible about that. If people want to file a complaint, we do have forms in the desk worker drawer. We do not determine if the complaint is something that's going to be investigated or not. All we would do is provide them with the form, any assistance they need to fill it out, and then we would submit that. We would not evaluate that ourselves. If there were a case of discrimination that was found, we would need to stop whatever actions were occurring and implement new policies and procedures to prevent that from occurring again in the future. In order to prevent discrimination and to provide the best service possible, we always want to be providing excellent customer service. It is very important that we're treating everyone with dignity, respect, honesty, and in good faith. We want to give everyone equal treatment and be able to provide them the best service we possibly can. We have policies and procedures in place to make that better for volunteers as well as families, so everyone knows what the expectations are and it's easier to be able to provide those services in a positive manner. If there were a situation where there is a conflict, we want you to use good conflict resolution skills, so remain calm and always speak to the family in a positive way, and there is a process where you can go through the problem. Be sure that you understand the problem and that you have explained to the family fully what our expectations are. Talk through a solution. You can say it's a policy, I'm required to, there are things that we are required to do that are outside of our control, and there are also things that we choose to require, and it's okay to be able to say that. Gain approval. Make sure that the person you're talking to understands what their expectations are. Make an agreement, so if someone doesn't have their documentation to be able to shop for their food on their first visit, you can say, well, I'd be happy to give you a sack of food, or you're able to bring back your information either during this shift or another time that we're open. So that you're providing and that they're committing to one of these options, so that you know what is going to be happening and they understand what's happening. And then provide follow-up to make sure that their needs have been met and our policies and procedures have been followed in the way necessary. If you were to have a particular conflict, a situation that has a high level of conflict, and you're not able to proceed through all of those steps, please fill out the incident report, and it's going to be myself or someone else who's going to actually follow through, and we're going to make sure that we've gone through all of these steps and come to a conclusion, so that the next time this family is coming to the pantry, if they are coming back, that it's going to be a positive experience for everyone, and that there's not going to be a concern about policies, procedures, or other type of conflict. We do want to always think, we always want to reflect on what can I do to make this a positive experience. Most of the families that are coming through our door are experiencing a stress, either an acute stress that's just happening all of a sudden, or a chronic stress that if they don't have enough food, that is a chronic stress that's impacting them every day. So we want to make sure that we're providing the best service that we possibly can in the best way that we can. So just thinking about, can I talk about the weather? Because the weather's always changing. That's a good way to start a conversation, or getting familiar with the families that we serve, and oh, you don't have your child with you today. How are they doing? And those kind of things is always a very positive thing to do at the pantry. We have a huge impact on families every day, and we need to be aware that whatever we do, however we interact with the family, can impact them at the moment that we're having that interaction. It can help them decide if they're coming back for additional help, if they need help again. Also that families really, each family is unique, and their situation is unique, and what's happened to them already in that day is unique. It's going to be different than any other day, and we want to treat everyone in the best way possible. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.